Have you ever heard the term mockingbird media? Let's talk about its origins. This isn't a new political phrase. The term comes from Operation Mockingbird, alleged to have begun pre-1950. Mockingbirds are best known for mimicking the songs of other birds and the sounds of insects and amphibians, often loudly and in rapid succession. This definition alone should help you understand a bit more about this operation, but let's dive deeper. The CIA began recruiting American journalists into their payroll to write stories that promoted the views of the intelligence agency to manipulate public opinion. Those that did not willingly participate were often blackmailed and threatened into this network. Those that complied won high praise, Pulitzer Prizes, and public recognition. Makes you want to dig a little deeper into some of those historical prize winners and beloved reporters, doesn't it? The CIA's financing of the independent and private organizations wasn't just meant to create favorable stories. It was also a means to covertly collect information from other countries that were relevant to America's national security. Student cultural organizations and magazines were allegedly funded as fronts for this operation. A mere 17 or so years into the enactment of this operation, however, some stories started to leak about Mockingbird. February 14, 1967, the New York Times ran a headline that read, "A student group concedes it took funds from CIA." Ramparts magazine followed suit, exposing the operation along with Rolling Stone with an article entitled "The CIA and the Media." These reports led to a series of congressional investigations done in the 1970s under a committee that was set up by the U.S. Senate and named the Church Committee. We know how effective and truthful those committees have proven to be, don't we? The Church Committee investigations looked into government operations and potential abuses by the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, and the IRS. Interesting how history repeats itself. As history would prove when it comes to declassification of truth, it wasn't until more than 35 years later, in 2007, that more than 700 pages of documents from these investigations were declassified and released by the CIA in a collection called the Family Jewels. There was only one mention of Operation Mockingbird in these files, in which it was revealed that 2 American journalists were wiretapped for several months. Very Obama-esque. There's no mention in the files that Mockingbird has ever been officially discontinued. So let's think of this in context of what we see today. We now know, thanks to Elon Musk's attempted purchase of Twitter, that the social media outlet is very largely made up of bots who skew the trending news and what narrative they want you to see and react to. This was further confirmed recently when we learned that Disney had also at one time considered the purchase of Twitter at a discount because of the large presence of bots. But what about other social media giants? Mark Zuckerberg admitted publicly on Joe Rogan's podcast that he, at the direction of a 3-letter agency, was instructed to censor the news about Hunter Biden's laptop on both Facebook and Instagram. We saw via FOIA-requested NIH emails that he was also instructed on how to proceed with the pandemic response on his platforms. The emails specifically stated that they would increase the strength of their demotions of COVID-related content as false or missing context, aka the phenomenon known as shadow banning, which at one time they claimed was a conspiracy theory and something they don't do. How much of what we see on television, social media, and printed publications is actual truth? If Operation Mockingbird never went away, is it possible that the government is actually in charge of our social media companies? Is the outrage and emotion you feel when seeing the latest media coverage manufactured? Why do they want you to feel this way? What's the end game? Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? When you look at the world from this lens and start to think for yourself, instead of thinking what you're told to think, it does become a very different place. The truth is out there somewhere. It's up to you to find it.